Hello. Oh, as always, what a wonderful thing to be able to be with you. Now we are at the end of the liturgical year on this feast of Christ the King, which would be the 34th Sunday in Ordinary Time. Next Sunday we begin the new liturgical year with the first Sunday of Advent. Jesus the King. A function of the king was to be the judge. To indicate that, I would like to refer you to Acts chapter 25 at verse 9 and then jumping to verse 12. Paul there is standing accused, and the person who's the judge is a man named Festus. But Festus, wishing to please the Jewish people, asked Paul, "Are you willing to go up to Jerusalem and stand trial before me there on these charges?" Paul answered, "I stand before the imperial bench. That is where I must be tried." He was a Roman citizen. He could appeal to the emperor. And in verse 12, thereupon Festus conferred with his council and finally declared, "You have appealed to the emperor you shall go." The emperor was the judge. And in Jesus' case, Jesus the King, he is the judge. In the gospel reading that we have for this Sunday, Luke chapter 23, verses 35 to 43, they use the term of king to mock Jesus, because it was quite obvious that Jesus did not have an army. The Romans didn't take that charge that the Jewish authorities were making against him seriously. There was simply no army. How could you take the charge of Jesus being a king, an earthly king, seriously? However, a heavenly king is another thing. The man who's being crucified, the one who's being crucified with Jesus, one of the two, says to Jesus, "Are you not the Christ? Save yourself and us." He was looking for a way down from the cross. But the other one who was crucified with Jesus, the criminal, says, "Have you no fear of God? For you are subject to the same condemnation. Indeed, we have been condemned justly." Then down further, "Jesus, remember me when you come into your kingdom." Jesus replied to him, "Amen, I say to you, today you will be with me in paradise." This is the only person we have here, the criminal crucified with Jesus, on the other side, who is declared as a saint in heaven. The only one declared to be a saint in heaven by Jesus. He's judged by Jesus to be a saint. Now, it's not recorded in the scriptures, but there are, I'm sure, billions of people who have been judged by Jesus to be saints in heaven. Others who have not gone to heaven, sad to say. The second function of a judge here in the scriptures is to be like a shepherd, to shepherd and care for his people. In the second reading from Colossians chapter 1, verses 12 to 22, Paul writes, he, referring to God and Jesus, "He delivered us from the power of darkness and transferred us to the kingdom of his beloved Son, in whom we have redemption, the forgiveness of sins." God, with his Son Jesus, shepherds us from darkness into the kingdom of redemption, forgiveness of sins. Here in Colossians, we have a hymn of praise to Jesus, and a little section of it says, "For in him," in Jesus, "all the fullness was pleased to dwell, and through him to reconcile all things to him." To Jesus, in God the Father. He shepherds us. All fullness of goodness is in him. And he shepherds us to be reconciled to the Father, against whom we have sinned. And the act through which he shepherds us is offering himself as a sacrifice on the cross. Jesus is our King. May daily he be our King, and we be loyal subjects. May God bless you on this, the feast of Christ the King.